Welcome back to the Against All Odds, the Less Than 1% Chance podcast with your host, Maria Ponte, where we will hear stories of incredible people thriving against all odds. And my hope is that we can all see how life is always happening for us, even when we are the less than 1% chance. Hey, welcome back to Against All Odds podcast, the Less Than 1% Chance with your host, Maria Aponte. I hope you are doing fantastic. I am bringing you a solo episode today. I'm so excited that you are listening to this new episode. I wanted to talk a little bit about something that I've struggled with myself. And I feel like when I struggle with something, it's maybe meant so that I can feel all the things, have the empathy, and then go off and help somebody else with those things. And so I was like, all week long, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a solo episode. What am I going to talk about? And things kept coming up. And then this morning, okay, so this is how crazy this happens. This morning, I had something in mind to sit down and have a conversation with you about, and I listen to personal development every single morning, and I heard one of my mentors just speak on something that I was like, oh my goodness. How many times, and I guess this is obviously rhetorical because you can't talk back right now, but how many times have you had that like line in the sand kind of moment in your life? And we feel like we set those up all the time. It's every January 1st or every Monday or something. Every time we set these like line in the sand, this is it, this is what I'm gonna do, I'm going for my goals, blah, blah, blah. And then things just don't happen. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. I've had a lot of line in the sand moments that have propelled me to a totally different version of myself, which has been amazing. And I've had those line in the sand moments that have like, I have not taken, they were that kind of moment of like, that's it, this is gonna happen. And I didn't take the action, have the belief in myself. In so many different cases, that's happened to me. And I feel like those moments happen to me because I don't, like, I have this self-doubt. Have you ever had self-doubt? Because I am 100% guilty of that. And we start making these stories up in our heads. And so I'm going to give you two instances that are almost exactly the same and had different outcomes. So in 2015, when I was first diagnosed with cervical cancer that year, well, I had the first test in April, and then the results came back and they're like, we need to do further biopsy on this. So I go back and they tell me, okay, we need to just double check in 2 more weeks to make sure that it hasn't progressed. And I'm like, what is happening right now? So I was dealing with a lot at that time. I was dealing with a on and off long distance relationship. I was dealing with my daughter just really struggling with her mental health. I was dealing with like a summer of a lot of expenses between me traveling, the kids, putting the kids in summer camps every other week because they were with their dad 1 week, with me 1 week, and so forth. And I was traveling the weeks that I wasn't with them. So it was just a very hectic summer that I was preparing for. And trying to work on this relationship and a really busy career and these 3 kids that needed my attention always, and these friends, and everybody needed a little bit of me. And so I'm then dealing with this diagnosis of cancer that was progressing quite quickly, and to the point that the doctor was like, we need to operate as soon as possible. And so we scheduled the operation for June 1st. This was like a really inconvenient time because in the industry that I was, that's when our big convention was. And I went for like the first night of it. And then the next day was my surgery. And so it was just all this crazy stuff happening all at once. And I had the surgery. And instead of saying, okay, something needs to give, line in the sand moment, I need to work on me, I completely spiraled out of control. Out of control meaning the weeks that I was not traveling, that I was here, that the kids were in summer camp, that all the things were happening, it took every single ounce of my energy to get out of bed. I wanted to be sleeping all the time. I didn't want to deal with the kids. I was just such a shell of myself. I allowed myself to kind of the pattern of sleep and eat and sleep some more and non-movement, and all the excuses were happening. And instead of saying, all right, this is my like cue to get this party started and make sure that I work on myself first. Instead of that, I focused on everything else. And the depression just kept piling on. The weight just kept piling on. The insecurities just kept piling on. The debt just kept piling on. So many things were just like piling on, one on top of the other. And it was definitely not my line in the sand moment. It could have been like, all right, I'm taking this and I'm running the other way. I'm making sure that I'm going to hit some goals, that I'm going to be the best mom, that I'm going to be the best employee, that I'm going to be the best girlfriend, that I'm going to be the best friend, because I'm going to take care of me first so that I could be all those things. That did not happen. And I remember I had a moment that was June 1st. The summer kind of spiraled down. I actually even lost a friend in that time period. She was moving away, and it was really hard because I was dealing with all these things, and she was upset that I didn't have a moment to hang out with her more or help her more. And I was like, I could barely keep on to being okay with me. I was so confused, and it was super hurtful. And I remember experiencing all these things, and I went skydiving that summer because I was like, you know what? If I'm gonna quote unquote die because of this stupid cancer that keeps coming back, then I'm gonna do the one thing that I wanted to do more than anything, and that was skydiving. I was dying to go skydiving my entire life. And so I felt like I was being super reckless rather than, no, this is where I need to put my big girl pants on and let's go. No, that was not the moment. And it very well could have been. And I look back and I'm like, you know what? Maybe this is the purpose for the reason for why I did all those things in that moment. And I didn't draw that line in the sand, and I had so much self-doubt and all the things. And then a few months later, in August, I had a moment. I'm putting on these jeans that I loved, and I could barely close them. And it was that moment of like, I refuse to buy jeans that were bigger. I refuse. And I signed up for this at-home workout thing, and I was like, all right, this is happening. And that was my line in the sand moment for my health journey. Then, because life likes to test you in these funny little ways, I had my follow-up appointment in October of that year. And so I went and did my pap smear to get checked out for the cervical cancer again. And it was so crazy because I almost had the same reaction. Almost. And they gave me a few options. So they told me the cancer had come back. They give me the options of I could either do the same surgery I did in June, or I could do a full hysterectomy, or we can wait it out just a little bit and see what happens. And I'm like, well, waiting it out is a no, because given my history, this crap keeps coming back, so I might as well make sure that I do something. And having a full hysterectomy was really, really one of those moments where I was just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be 32, 33 years old and deal with menopause. And my family already has a history of osteoporosis, and that just elevates that in so many different ways. And I don't want to go through that. These were all the things that were going through my head with all the mood swings. I have a almost teenage daughter that is struggling with her own mood swings, and I have to be okay enough to deal with all of that, even though I wasn't okay. I was short fused. I couldn't handle the craziness of the pressure of just being that person that she needed in that moment and holding that space for her in so many different circumstances. I would say I just was not the very best version of myself for her. However, those were all the things that were going through my head. Like, I can't deal with her mood swings and try to control myself, because I'm gonna have this full-on hormonal imbalance happening in my body. What is gonna happen? Okay, so all of those things were going through my head, and told the doctor, I was like, can I get back with you? I'm going on a business trip. Can I get back with you next week? And he was like, well, just make sure to get back with me soon, because we need to determine when this is going to happen. This was October 15th. And I was very, very close to just telling everything. F it, I'm going to just do me and whatever. And if this cancer takes me, then I don't know what else to do. However, I had just started this health journey, and I was a month and a half in, and I was feeling so much better. And for the first time ever, I had started listening to personal development books and expanding my mind. And you don't know what you don't know, right? Until you open up that awareness of knowing these things. And it's just something that I can't even explain. So I messaged the coach that was helping me through this journey. And so I was like, this was my diagnosis. I think I'm going to give up. And I remember having that conversation, and she wouldn't have it. And she was like, no, think about this, think about the options, but you're going to continue to check into our group. And I was like, okay. And so I went on my business trip, and I continued to check into the group every day on that business trip. I remember working out from the hotel room. I just remember having more of that determination and that excitement of, no, I'm going to keep doing this. And I remember one of those mornings, I was staying at a hotel on the beach. If you're familiar with Miami Beach, I stayed at the Eden Rock. And I remember particularly having gone to the gym that morning and going out to the beach, watching the sunrise. And I remember that right there. That was my line in the sand moment. literally and figuratively. That moment was the moment that I decided that I was going to get the hysterectomy, that I was not going to allow this to take me away from my kids, away from my family, away from my loved ones. I was not going to allow that. And I chose to just keep moving. I chose to keep moving and not allow depression to happen again, because that sucked. I wasn't going to allow myself to spiral back down or get sucked back in to the cycle that I kept living through. And it was that line in the sand moment that I said, I'm going to fight for this. I'm going to be the healthiest version of me that I can be, mentally, physically, and emotionally. I'm going to work on me, and I'm going to make sure that I put my oxygen mask on first every single day so that I can be here for my kids, because I couldn't imagine anyone else having to deal with my daughter and her mental health struggles and my 3 kids. I couldn't imagine anyone else having to deal with that. I couldn't imagine missing out on moments. I just took my son to get his senior pictures done. And so I have an adult child, I have a 19-year-old, but my 19-year-old did not want to do all of the things as a senior. She just refused. So I didn't have those moments with her, but I took him to get his senior pictures done, and I was like, who is this? This is almost an adult. He will be an adult in less than 2 weeks as of this recording. And it blows my mind. It blows my mind to even think or fathom that I was the type of person that wouldn't have fought to see those moments. And so 2 of the same situations, one I let myself spiral, and the other I said, no, I'm going to make sure that I'm here. And I got real intentional about the actions that I took. I got real intentional about waking up early and getting my workout done. I got real intentional about preparing my meals and making sure that I was eating a well-balanced nutrition plan, and that I would take my supplements, and that I would feed my brain this amazing thing that we have, our brain. I would feed it with good and positive and motivating and inspiring things. I gave myself a goal. I was like, okay, my surgery is December 9th. By December 8th, I'm going to be under 150 pounds. That's my goal. I'm going to be under 150 pounds by December 8th. Before I go into surgery, I'm going to hit that goal. And I was just focused. I had a month and a half, about like a month and 3 weeks to get to this goal. And before I had surgery, before I couldn't work out for 6 to 8 weeks, I was on a mission. And I continued to listen to personal development books, and I continued to work out, and I continued to feed my body the fuel that it needed, and I continued to really focus on who I want to be, and every day feel the feelings of that person. Feel the feelings of a person that is healthy and happy and is a good mom and that is a good girlfriend and that is a good business owner and a good employee and a good daughter. And like, I focus on that person, the person that ideally was Maria, right? And every day that was something that I worked on, and every day I just felt that little bit of confidence continue to get better and better and better. And through that, I just felt this immense love for who I was. And this kind of And it sounds super backwards, but this like appreciation for, well, if I wouldn't have gone through cancer in the summer and depression in the summer, I wouldn't have gone out on a limb and started this health journey, and I wouldn't have felt this good. And if all of those things wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have gotten to this point. But this was my line in the sand, and I just kept going. And when I had that surgery, I went into it under 150 pounds. I had actually gotten to 149.6, I believe. I was under 150 pounds. I was so pumped and so excited because that line in the sand moment made it so that when I finally had the surgery and I finally got through all of that, and I went through a week later, actually on my birthday, I went to the doctor, and he was baffled by the fact that there was 0 signs of cancer, that whatever shift I had made for the good. And I mean, I had a hysterectomy, so I won't ever have cervical cancer ever again. However, I had like made some massive shifts, and that cancer wasn't there. And one of my mentors, Bob Proctor, used to say, disease is dis-ease in the body. And my line in the sand moments, I had 2 that same year. One that I didn't allow for it to be the potential that it could have been, but probably was exactly what I needed to make that second one exactly what I needed. It was that moment that I took action, that I did what I needed to do to get healthy, love myself, build confidence, like all of these things that flipped the script on the rest of my life. And I think those are those moments that we all have. We all get tested with these moments, and we could either be me at the beginning of that year, or the one that's like, no, hell no, I'm going to use this to propel me to my goals and to the best person that it can make me. And those are the moments that I want you to look at yourself, because I'm no more special than anybody else. I am no more special than anybody else. And we can look at those moments as things that will either defeat us or make us grow. And if it makes us grow, how powerful is that? That is incredibly powerful. And what is a moment in your life where you have had to put that line in the sand and say, no, I'm not gonna be okay with the trajectory where this is taking me. I'm gonna do something better for myself and for my family. I bet you've had those moments, and sometimes we forget when we're in the daily grind. So I encourage you to maybe journal a little bit on those kind of moments. And if you don't remember, or you set a January 1st goal or a Monday goal or start of the month goal and you didn't hit it, don't let that stop you. Make this your line in the sand moment, and have this propel you to that person, that higher you that you can be, because you're worth it, because your family's worth it, because you are as special as me. You are as special as me, because nobody is beneath anybody. You are as special as me, and you deserve that for you and your family. And
I think with that, I obviously feel a little passionate about this, but it really did change my life. It completely, and I see those two different circumstances, which were the same. They were both cervical cancer. They were both progressing. Those two moments, one that I did not take action on, that I just allowed it to spiral down, and the other that I just let it propel me and my family to something so much better. So that is what I have for you today. Hopefully that was short and sweet and you got something out of it. I would love to hear your line in the sand moment. And if you can't think of one, can you make this your line in the sand moment and tell me what actions you're going to take to say, that's it. This is what I'm going to do, and stick to it. I would love to hear back from you. Anyways, I think that's all for me today, but thank you so much for listening. And from the bottom of my heart, just feel blessed and honored that you're on episode 8 and you're listening to this, and I'm just so excited. It has been like a dream come true, and the fact that I can hopefully help or impact you in little bits of ways each week, it just feels like I'm fulfilling a purpose in my life. So I hope this helped, and thank you so much for listening. Peace out. Love your life.